Anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, you can listen anywhere, anytime.
Your Country 1039 KGRT. Online at kgrt.com.
Your Country 1039 KGRT. And once again, it is a busy day today because we have one guest and now we have our usual time and opportunity to spend with Kelly Jameson with the Las Cruces Public Schools. And Kelly, I have a feeling it's been a busy week for you this past week.
A little bit of a busy week.
A little bit, yeah.
I missed you last week. I'm supposed to be here on Thursdays. Last Thursday was the first official school for K through 12 in the Las Cruces Public School District. It was a really exciting day. We've gained momentum since then, and a week later, kids are happy. School is fun. It's good. It's a good day to be in Las Cruces Public Schools.
I like how you said that. Kids are happy and school is fun. School is fun.
School is fun.
School is fun. Yeah.
You know, my kids are in high school, and I'm always asking them questions. What are your friends saying? What's the temperature at school? What's the mood? And it's high. It's an exciting time. Kids are their friends were bored. They were ready to come back to school. Everyone's in a good mood. We have the kid next door who doesn't usually like school was really excited this morning. He said, "I love school. It's refreshing, and it's good to hear from kids." Not always the sentiment. I understand kids really enjoy their summer, and when it's 100 degrees outside, it's hard to go to school.
Well, I have a feeling that sometimes the kids might enjoy being forced to stay in, a nice air conditioned space during those 100-degree temperatures at this time of the year. But, it was, I should say, because we've gone past the first week already. We're into it right here big time. So maybe it's a little bit of an adjustment right there. And probably some people are still going through that adjustment. Because I know some people that are out on vacations now because that's just the way they planned it. That's going to be one of those things. Mm-hmm. But right now, I think you would say that the first week was very successful in getting everybody back in this early.
Absolutely successful. We had done a survey at the end of last semester to see which teachers were going to be out on those planned vacations. We wanted to remain flexible in the district, and we made sure that those substitute numbers were covered. We had 100% coverage in the district. So those numbers were true to what we thought we were going to have at the end of last semester. So a good start overall. And again, this is going to be a year of firsts. The balanced calendar is a brand new concept in Las Cruces Public Schools, except for 20 years ago. We had a couple of schools that went to a balanced calendar because of ratings issues, but the entire district has made this shift. So we'll see how it goes. Every year around March, we do propose the next calendar to the Board of Education. And so it'll be interesting to see how next March those calendar recommendations are made to the board and the direction that they decide to choose.
Yeah, I would say just to anybody who might be struggling a little bit with the balanced calendar because of the changes, give it some time, give it a little bit of a chance. And from personal experience, I will feel that you will end up enjoying it a lot more. But Kelly, what else is going on with the Las Cruces Public Schools this week?
We had a really interesting evening last night. Las Cruces Public Schools hosted the first ever public safety forum with parents. It was at City Hall in downtown Las Cruces, hosted by the City of Las Cruces and Las Cruces Police Department. We had guests from the Albuquerque field office of the FBI, and the conversation was solely about school safety and our school resource officers in the classroom, how our security officers are trained. And then we spent half of the evening listening to parents about safety concerns in their children's schools. It was an eye-opening experience. I have a feeling we'll be having more conversations like this in the future. But the evening was designed to give parents a level of comfortability that the school district is not closing their ears to the temperature of the nation, and the incidence of violence on school campuses is certainly not lost on our district. We have had these conversations. We've been training with law enforcement personnel for the unthinkable for quite some time. So with the unfortunate incident in Uvalde, Texas, it was time that the school district was forthcoming with parents and letting them know that we train with law enforcement regularly. Law enforcement gave a presentation, talked about how they're trained to stop the threat, how they're trained to be single officer units. They wouldn't have to wait on another person. They wouldn't wait on a supervisor. All of those concepts that have come out of Uvalde were brought to light last night. And I think it was a very healthy conversation. I think parents were very receptive of it. And something that came out of the evening was parents really want a way to communicate with the school district directly. We have our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter pages. We have the website, but we're going to be putting a button on our website where you can give public input directly to the school district. And that in itself is a really valuable public safety tool. So we always say, if you see something, say something. Well, if students aren't comfortable telling an administrator, there's going to be a button on our website where you can report something, give feedback, or just generally communicate with your school district.
And that is a good thing, because better to be prepared for something that might never happen than to be unprepared for something and get caught off guard right there.
Absolutely.
In fact, even recently, you don't have to go into it, but even recently we had an incident where a parent noticed something, and that was a good thing. And you wanted to go ahead and make sure that you got that taken care of.
You're absolutely right. On that same communication note, the school district launched its first ever communication satisfaction survey that went out to parents right before the school year started. So if you didn't catch it, look in your email from our no reply email address. It was just a general survey on how are we doing when it comes to communication, and how do you as parents prefer to receive news and information from Las Cruces Public Schools. It's a very quick 10-question survey. It's open through August 31st. So if you haven't taken that, I really encourage you to answer just a few questions. The very last question is an open-ended opportunity for you to give general feedback on the communications department at Las Cruces Public Schools. Again, that's on our website, lcps.net.
Okay. And when you're checking your email for that, check your spam folder. Sometimes those no reply emails will end up in the spam folder. So check that out there so you can give your feedback. And it's nice to see that the LCPS is looking for that feedback with the meetings last night, the survey. And I think that's a really, really good thing. What else have we got on the plate for this week, Kelly?
Well, one last note, parents might have noticed we sent home some information on COVID on your campus. We don't talk about it a whole lot, but we know it's still very much alive and well in our communities. Las Cruces Public Schools is not unlike the rest of the nation. As those numbers are increasing throughout our country, we are seeing an increase in the numbers on our campuses. So the information that we reminded parents was remind your child to wash their hands, make sure you're practicing social distancing to the greatest extent possible. And while masks are not currently required in our buildings, they are still a good practice to maintain contact and limit the spread of germs within your spaces. So if you didn't catch that, you might want to read up on that. We also reminded parents to keep COVID tests on hand. The government has made it accessible to receive as many as 8 tests per household. You can even walk into your pharmacy and ask for a prescription that they will write, give back to you, and then you give it back to them, and they can give you up to 8 tests per household per month. The school district has had a supply of COVID tests. We're running short, and as those supplies dwindle, we just remind parents to seek alternate resources for COVID tests and just keep them on hand so that if you or your child is experiencing symptoms, you can just make sure if you're COVID free or not. And then, of course, if you're experiencing symptoms or if you're sick, just stay home. That's always the best course of action.
Sometimes even before COVID, just that one thing, when you're sick, just stay home, because, germs are no fun in general.
Germs are no fun. And you don't have to be a hero and come to school because you just love it. We love having you there. But the worst thing you could do is come to school sick. Yeah,
absolutely. And, like you said, we'd like to think that we don't have to worry about it anymore. And for the most part, as far as how deadly it can be, it has very mild things like there. We even look at president recently who went through COVID just recently, and he got cleared, I think, just yesterday. Right. But it is one of those things where, it's still out there, and we got to be wary about what's going on. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go all out, like the things used to be and everything else when we had the lockdowns and masks and everything else like that. But you know what? Washing your hands, keeping an idea of where you are, and in certain situations, in certain places, masks are not necessarily a bad idea. I know all our hospitals and clinics and everything else are still requiring masks when you go in there. But then again, those are the places where all the germs are. So absolutely, not a bad thing to go ahead and exactly. So just keep it in mind. And like you said, that information probably, I'm guessing, available on the website too.
We have it on the website, and we're still tracking COVID cases in the district. You can go to lcps.net, and in the upper right-hand corner, click on COVID-19. You can get a wealth of information there and resources, as well as the current count of COVID cases as they impact the district.
Awesome. And well, I know that you are a busy person still. We're still technically at the beginning of the school year. I imagine that you've got a lot on your plate still to go. But is there anything else that we missed for this week?
I think we've wrapped it up. If you want to stay up to date with everything going on in Las Cruces Public Schools, check us out at lcps.net. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you want news delivered right to your phone, you can download our smartphone app anywhere your apps are purchased. Actually, it's free. So if you're a Google user, or you're an iPhone user or an Android user, it's in use across multiple platforms, free of charge wherever you download apps.
Absolutely. So go ahead and get that done. And thanks a lot, Kelly. We will talk to you next week, hopefully.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Kelly.
Bye-bye.
And we'll go ahead and